be talking about the Barnhart 5/6 Universal Curette today and demonstrating fulcruming and instrumentation on both the mandible and maxilla on both posterior and anterior teeth. By looking close, we can see that the flat face of the blade is 90 degrees perpendicular to the terminal shank. This allows the curette to have two cutting edges on either side of the face of the blade. Here we can see the beautiful black handle of the instrument, and we're going to use a modified pen grip in order to use this. We're going to put our pointer finger and thumb on the handle of the instrument and our middle finger on the shank. We're going to use our ring finger as our fulcrum finger, which we will rely on for stability throughout our procedures. Making sure that all three of our fingers are stacked, we're going to activate on Pooh Bear. We're going to pivot, which is a 360-degree motion on our fulcrum. We are going to rock, which aids in calculus removal and involves wrist movement. And then we're going to roll, which allows us to keep the angulation toe third on the tooth. The appropriate way to begin using the curette is to close at a 40 to 0 degree angle and insert into the sulcus while opening at a 60 to 80 degree angle. If on enamel, we will be opening from a 70 to 80 degree. If we are working on cementum or root surface, we will be opening to a 60 to 70 degree angle instead. This means angling closer to the tooth. We're going to begin on the mandible on first mole number 30. We're going to use our mirror to move our tissue around and check our working end. We're going to insert interproximally and confirm that V to the D confirms that the working end is correct. We're going to start at the distal line angle and move all the way distal. If we are a right-handed clinician and this is our toward surface, we will need to work at clock position 9 and 10. Once we are done scaling the distal side of the tooth, we can now work from the distal line angle all the way mesial. We need to make sure that our fulcrum is facing down and our palm is also facing down as we work towards the mesial of the tooth. As we continue to instrument, we also need to make sure that we remain adapted to the tooth, aka keeping on the toe third of the instrument. We are now going to do the lingual side using indirect vision on the same tooth number 30, while first checking our working end, confirming that is correct, and now starting from the distal line angle as before, working distally, and then to work from the distal line angle mesially. The universal curette is a tool designed to stay subgingival while scaling. Since it is closed and inserted at a 0 to 40 degree angle, it avoids laceration of the tissue. Once in the sulcus, the angle of the face of the blade is opened or tipped away from the tooth such as that the angle is 60 to 80 degrees. Activating the instrument means having controlled overlapping strokes with moderate to firm pressure against the tooth surface. We will now be moving on to the mandibular anteriors. We're first going to check our working end. We're going to insert it interproximally between 25 and 24, and we shall see that the V is pointing in the wrong direction. We're going to follow the Pac-Man rules so that if the V opens in the direction that we will be working, we are using the right working end like this one. We're going to start working on number 23, starting at the midline and going into the direction that we will be working. It is important to note that if this is a toward surface for a right-handed clinician, we will be working at 8 o'clock in order to work on this surface. If we were to start working on the away surface for a right-handed clinician, we would need to move all the way to 12 o'clock, and while checking our positioning for our working end, we will see that we will need to flip the instrument in order to work on this away surface. Starting again at the midline, we will now go towards the distal of this tooth. Using indirect vision, we will now be working on the lingual of number 23. If this is a toward surface for right-handed clinicians, we will have to go back to 8 o'clock in order to work on this surface. To work on this away surface, we will have to flip our instrument to correct the working end and now be at 12 o'clock in order to work on this away surface. maxillary, we're going to use our mirror to move the tissue away, and we will start working on first molar number 3 instead. We're going to check our working ends, V to the D, correcting that is the Curette working end, and we can start at the distal line angle, moving distal just like we did on the mandible. When working on the maxillary, our fulcrum should be up and our palm should be parallel or up with the maxillary arch. This is true for maxillary posterior teeth. Completing the distal side, we are now able to close, insert, and open again, and start working mesially towards the mesial interproximal of the tooth. It is also important that as you instrument, the terminal shank is parallel with the tooth, as such as it is here. It is also important to make sure that we get into the interproximals in order to get the calculus out of the cold spaces of the tooth. We will now start working on the lingual of number 3, making sure to have the correct working end and to start at the distal line angle. Now moving to the anterior maxillary teeth, we can check our working end by inserting interproximally and seeing that the pacman does indeed eat in the direction that we will be working in, which is the towards surfaces for right-handed clinicians, aka a clock position requirement of 8 o'clock. We are going to start at the midline, insert subgingivally, making sure to close and then opening and moving and activating towards. Also know how I need my palm towards me for maxillary anteriors. Now working on the away surfaces, we are going to check our working end again and realize that we need to flip it over in order for it to be facing the right way. We're going to start again at the midline and this time scale distally. Now instrumenting the lingual surfaces of the same tooth, number 9. We shall use indirect vision, and I tried my best. Oh, hello. Yeah, that's cool. That's fine. Yep, that's okay too. Oh, hello there. Yeah, I guess you could just do that. That's fine too.